Welcome to Chocolate Cake for the Soul, a space to return to your truth, awaken your energy, and leave with deeper clarity. I'm Dewi, and I'm here to hold gentle yet powerful conversation on healing, intuition, and the unseen energy that shape our lives. Whether you're building a soulful business, navigating your inner wounds, or simply learning to trust your intuition again, you're exactly where you need to be. So find your favorite cozy corner and take a bite of chocolate cake for the soul together.
Today's conversation is about courage, not the loud kind, but the honest kind. The courage to listen to the quiet voice inside you, the courage to walk away from what no longer fits, and the courage to choose your dream even when the path isn't clear. My guest today, Chika, embodies this kind of courage. Her journey is one of breaking down, rebuilding, and learning how to come home to herself. This isn't a story about overnight success. It's about resilience, recalibration, and trusting yourself again, even after life takes unexpected turns. I'm so grateful to share this space with her today. Please welcome Chica.
Chika, so can you tell us um I ever since I've known you, I know that you have this beautiful voice and you've always had this dream um to sing or to be a singer or to be in the singing industry, music industry and that sort of thing. Like when do you know for yourself, like when did you know exactly that you've always wanted this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's always been a dream of mine. I've always wanted to sing. I've ever since I was a little kid, I was singing. And it was always a passion of mine and something that I wanted to pursue. I think that dropped off during my mid-20s, kind of ventured off, started doing something different. Started teaching actually elementary school kids. And during my career as a teacher, I started to feel a sense of, is this my life or is this it? And I started looking at, well, what else I can do. And I was looking at different avenues. I was thinking about content creation. I was thinking about being a interior designer or a decorator. I even thought about being like a fashion designer, and just as you can see, something in the arts. And then within the past year, I really started diving back into music again. And I realized how music has been the only thing that has moved me in the ways that has never moved me in other things. And when I say moved me, it's just like a sense or a knowing, like if I'm singing or if I'm playing the piano or playing guitar, like it's just this inner knowing that I feel that this is what I'm meant to do. And um, it's not really something that I feel can really be explained, but it's just kind of that feeling that when you know, you know. And music is the only thing that I've really felt like really tugged at my soul.
Hmm. Yes, I remember meeting you in Turkey and you and Julia were singing. I don't know if you remember that. And I remember thinking, wow, she has this beautiful voice. And I know that you were a school teacher then. Um, and I'm and then we met again in Egypt and I was like, I mean, I'm happy to hear that you are taking steps into fulfilling this dream, like, like getting into this. And how has that process been so far? Because I know it's not easy, right? To jump in, to follow your dreams, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's been quite a bit of a journey for me. I think one back when I was in my 20s in high school, early 20s, I was trying to pursue it seriously. I was going to school and studying music. I was in the opera program at my the university that I was at, and then completely shifting and doing something completely different. I think um, something that I had to kind of come to terms with very recently was just some of the shame actually that I felt around that time. Some regret that I noticed within myself that I kind of had to resolve. Just some shame around like, like when well, I'm 31 now, and when I was pursuing those things, I was in my early 20s, and I was just going through a lot, just personally and just mentally and emotionally. And I don't know if other people can relate to this, but it was hard for me to try to pursue a passion of mine and also try to deal with my own insecurities, kind of navigating through life, trying to navigate through relationships, trying to navigate through like my identity. And there was also a lot of pressure when I was in college. Um, and there's like a level of competition that you have to work through when you're trying to pursue that, especially in specific environments. And so, with the combination of those things, it was really hard for me to get through my program and to finish. And I decided that maybe music wasn't for me. And so I went through this whole other journey of doing something else, just kind of writing off music. And then now being in my 30s, I'm now realizing like this is my true passion. But there was some things that I had to kind of overcome and have a resolve around feeling like I failed. Like, and having compassion for who I was, like the baby Chika and what she went through, and how, you know, life and situations are not linear. I think that my whole life I assumed that life should be in a linear
Hmm.
cycle, but then now, and also just realizing that that's just not life. Like life is actually kind of like a mandala where you go up and then you go right and then you go back and then you go down, and it's just not everyone's path is also very different. And I think I also had some shame around like, oh, I'm in my 30s now, it's too late. Of course it's not too late. But just kind of like comparing my path and maybe where other people are, people who have started early and who have continued and are now famous or whatever. Like, so I've just had to deal with like coming to terms with my path, where I am, where I was, and who I am now, and just validating that um, everything I think has a divine timing and a divine
Hmm.
purpose. And I don't know or think that if I continue where I was before, I don't know where I would be. I don't think that me personally, I was ready. I think I had to kind of go through
Hmm.
my own journey around healing myself.
Hmm.
You know, did a lot of spiritual work the past 10 years. And I think doing that spiritual work, I think will just help me with this path I'm trying to be on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned shame and failure a few times. What do you mean by that? What what was that in reference to?
Yeah, well, just like failure around not continuing it. Like,
Oh, like you gave up at that time.
yeah, like trying to pursue it and then giving up because of, I mean, at the time I just thought that it just wasn't for me. And
Mm.
I just kind of lost my passion for music. But I also know that I was going through a lot just personally, and I think there was a part of me that felt some type of failure around having to go through those personal things and
Mm.
not being able to uh I don't want to say overcome, but just some shame around like
Mhm.
failure around, for example, just feeling not good enough, like not good enough to pursue a career in music. It's a really
Mm.
cutthroat industry.
Mm.
And I mean, one, at the time I was thinking about doing opera, and now I don't want to do opera. I know that that's not what I want to do. So there's also just like, I think at the time I was thinking that I wanted to do opera, but it didn't really feel right for me. And so there was just a part of me that just I wasn't sure about my identity and what I wanted to do. And I was doing opera at the time, and I thought that that was what I should do, but I wasn't truly passionate about that. And so, yeah, there was just some shame around like, oh, not continuing because of my insecurities and, all this
Mm.
stuff.
Mhm. So then you ventured into teaching and did your spiritual work and did a lot of healing yourself. And then what made you decide to come back? Because I know that's a lot, right? It takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage to face and accept and deal with. And like what was that process like? Because I think it's really, really strong. I don't see that as a failure. I think that's a huge amount of strength that most people, you know, they don't even have the courage to do that, face that.
Yeah, I think and part of it, this was maybe something that I also had to work through, but I mentioned like feelings of regret, and
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some feelings of regret around um just my past history with music and not continuing with it and feeling like I failed. And I think for the past year, I've really been focused on, well, at the end of my life, like if I just ended up teaching and that's my life,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would be happy. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've been looking at my life in kind of that lens of like, at the end of my life, I don't want to have regret. And there were parts of me where I was like, if I don't do music, um, and go to the end of my life and not pursue it, I think I would regret that more than
Yeah.
if I pursued it and then I quote
Right.
unquote failed.
Right.
And
So
I
the
also realized where, the failure, the potential of failing at music scared me. But then when I really looked at it, I'm not really actually scared of failing. I
Mhm.
actually I would be more scared of not doing it. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of narrative out there, around what success means.
Hmm.
And of course, like stability and things like those are very valid. And
Hmm.
I think they are important and they can be important in people's lives. But I think I'm also changing how I see success.
Hmm.
And I think for me, my definition of success is evolving and changing.
Hmm.
And I would rather live a life where I at least try to pursue my dream, versus not.
Hmm. So it's like the pain of not following through is bigger than, where you're at. And so that's why it was it gave you um the motivation to start, I guess, something like that. And how did you overcome? Because I think a lot of people are in your position and they want to start, but then this fear of certainty, I think you mentioned that as well, like stability, certainty, like they have a paying job, and then if they quit and to start something that, you know, um, then they don't have that fixed income, whatever, like that stability. And it's scary, right? And how do you deal with that?
I think for myself at least, I really had to come to terms with my values and what I believe in. And I think, like I was saying, there's lots of emphasis on like financial success and having that stability. And of course, I'm not saying that that's not important, but I also don't think that that has to be everyone's priority, I guess, or that doesn't have to be something that gets in the way of someone's dream. And so I literally had to sit down with myself and I actually made it really pretty and I, decorated it. I just wanted it to be fun. And I wrote down my values. And I was looking at my values and I was like, okay, so how can I live according to my values? A lot of my values had to do with being courageous and having passion in my life, taking taking risks. And I think I think also what was important when I was thinking about transitioning was tuning everyone else's voices out of my head because I think, you tell people your what you want to do or, how you want to create things and people can say certain things and they can give you advice and whatever it like probably most of the time it comes from a good place, right? They care for you, they want you to be happy. But you also have to be careful about um, how much you're taking in and how much you're letting that to be your truth. And that was also something that I had to weave my way out of and see like, is this voice me? Is this voice saying, oh, like, like leaving your teaching job is stupid. Like this is just a pointless uh dream, like whose voice is that? Like is that actually mine? And so I really had to go through and just kind of look at what's me and what's not. And that really helped me to kind of be like, okay, this is me. This is my voice, and what is my voice saying? And just kind of taking the leap. And also realizing that like not every path is perfect. Not every transition is going to look perfect. And sometimes we just have to go through certain struggles to get to where we want to go.
So that was beautifully said. You mentioned about tuning in voices and whatnot. Like how would uh, your intuition play in this, or your, spiritual training play in this? Because I think that's a lot of intuitive stuff, right, that you were mentioning.
Yeah, well, I've been doing like a lot of psychic work and energy work, and a lot of it has been learning to just say hello to energies that aren't mine versus what energy is mine. You know, what energy is taking up my aura or my, my body and whatever, and how is that changing my beliefs? How is that changing the decisions that I make? And it's really just been this whole experience around my spiritual work has really been about letting go of those voices or letting go of that energy out of my space, so that I can really tune into my own inner voice.
Mm. And when you tune in into your inner voice, like what was that like? I think a lot of people struggle with this as well. Like they hear all these voices, like you mentioned, in their head, it's a struggle to discern like which is your inner voice, which is just the noise that you have to, move out. Um, yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think it's really just deciding and seeing like how maybe your family or your friends or society or your work has shifted or changed your identity or how you express yourself or shoulds or to-dos, what not to do, and questioning those things and really seeing it and looking at it and being like, well, is that really mine? Is that,
Mm,
really true for me?
mhm,
And there's a lot of like energetic tools that people can use in order to kind of release some of that um, energy that may not allow them to connect to their higher self
mhm,
or their what, spirit.
mhm. Okay, so a lot of people have dreams, and they never really pursue them. What would you say to someone who feels like their dream is too big or it's too late? What would you say um, to them?
I say fuck that noise. And is that your voice? Is that you who is saying it's too big or you're too old? You know,
Love that.
like really, like it's like really just questioning those things.
Mm,
Like I mean, I don't know these people personally, but I see like on the internet, like I think there was someone like who was talking about their company that they started and they were like 50.
mhm,
They were doing something else and they transitioned and they started their own business at 50 years
mhm,
old, like, and they're very successful.
mhm,
Like where is this narrative that people have where it's like, oh, you can only do things in your 20s and that's it.
mhm, mhm,
Everything after that you know, it's uh it's invalid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also seeing a post recently, and it was saying that basically saying that the 30s are the new 20s, right? The
Mm-hmm.
20s are, I'm just speaking for myself because I'm in my 30s, but
Mm-hmm.
the 20s are like you're trying to figure yourself out, whatever. 30s is like, okay, you kind of fucked up. There's things that maybe you needed to learn, right? And so you're starting to live a life for yourself. And I think kind of like what I was saying about the mandala, like no matter what age you are, whether you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, you know, it's never too late to change, and it's never too late to live a life for yourself. And I think we're all on that journey of, trying to live a life for ourselves, just
Mm-hmm.
be happy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be happy?
It's like people have this belief like, oh, you're too young, and then oh, you're too late, like you're too old. Like when is the right time? You're either too young or too old.
Right. And it's also just like, well, you're too old or whatever, and then you spend another few years complaining that you're too old. Like you could have started like 3, 4 years ago, and you're still complaining that you're too old. Like, where could you be now if you just started?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
we just waste so much time thinking about all these things, and it's like
Mhm.
then time goes by. It's like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It just kind of puts things into perspective.
Yeah. Lately, I've been looking at how, and we might be running out of time soon. Oh, we have 2 minutes. Um, we'll have to start Zoom again. But lately, I've been looking at how, if you have this dream, it's because you're meant to have it. That's why you have that longing. Because I remember many years back before excuse me, before I had my psychic training, I've always thought that, oh, having intuition or having clairvoyance, whatever, is only for special people who would have it, and I don't have it because I wasn't, like special enough or whatever. But I know that in my lifetime, in this lifetime, I'm meant to have some of these tools so that I can do whatever with my life with it. And then as things happen and whatnot, and it led me to a point where, oh my gosh, I meant to have that. And that's why I have that thought many, many years back. So it's almost like I feel like your higher self, future self, whatever, is telling you, hey, have this dream because you're meant to have it. And of course, at that time when you don't have it yet, you're thinking, oh my gosh, just like, can I have it? Like, is that too big for me? But that's the whole point. Like you have that dream because you're meant to have it. You just have to get there. And that's why it's placed in your vision or your thoughts or whatever. I've been looking at that recently.
Transition to the second recorded part of this episode.
Ever since you made the decision and started pursuing your dream, like what has been the most surprising or maybe the most healing part of this this phase or this journey, when you start to honor your voice?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. What has been the most surprising or healing part of choosing to honor your voice?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, through this journey, with pursuing music, I realized that yes, like I'm pursuing my passion, and um it's fun, but also through this journey, I also have realized how much of a healing it is
Mm,
for me, with being able to, like what I was saying, saying hello to what voices are mine and what's not mine. And one, I had to kind of go through that journey of what is my voice versus not my voice to get to a place where I can be like, okay, this is my dream and this is what I want to do. Um, but I think, it's also has music has given me a platform to heal parts of myself that may have had a hard time expressing myself.
Mm,
That's something that I always had a struggle with growing up. And I
mm,
think just my life path and my upbringing and things like that, I just had a really hard time with expressing myself when actually really it's the one thing that's really important to me. And that's
mm,
probably also why it was such a struggle for me,
mhm,
because I know that I am a very creative person. I am a very expressive person. I think I am naturally, I am very outspoken and I get noticed. And I think that that is part of my life path. And that's also why I've struggled so much around my self-expression because it is a really important part in my life. And I think, with choosing music or choosing a different path has helped me to um, just have more trust in my own inner voice, having
mm,
more faith in my own inner voice, because I think a lot of times we can be led by a different voice, and it's
mm,
really easy to be like, well, this voice says, but it's not yours. And so I think one, just it's been a healing around, well, that's what my inner voice is telling me,
mm,
and not really caring about what the other voices are saying. Um, I think also too, I've started to write my own music,
mm,
and I've started to write a lot more, and even just like writing like poetry and things like that. I've really just been forcing myself to write every day, even if it sounds like shit. And just my boyfriend, he is also a writer and he writes his own music, and he's currently in the process of making his own album. And it was very, it was a very vulnerable space for me when I first started sharing my writing to him, sharing my ideas around lyrics.
mm,
And um, I've never really done that before. And that was actually something that I always struggled with, was that kind of vulnerability piece. And I mean, that comes with like perfectionism,
mhm.
just feeling like I can't show things to people until it's perfect.
Right.
And that is something that I am really working through right now. And I think I've taken a lot of steps up in that regard to where, now I'm writing on my own,
Yeah.
and I write things and I show it to him, and it's not as like it used to like almost give me a heart attack to show him things, and now it's not as scary.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think by being vulnerable, I think that's what makes the music have its soul, you know. Um, I mean, like I've heard, for example, when people play the piano, they could have the melody right and the fingering and whatever they could have it right, but then when you hear the same piece of music and someone's playing with their soul, passion, whatever, you can just hear it. Like they're being vulnerable. It's different from just, doing the motion with the fingers and whatnot. I think by you learning to be vulnerable, I mean, I know that the process is not comfortable, but that's the special sauce that will make the music extra special. I feel like that's the whole point.
Mhm. Yeah, and being an artist is, I think, all about vulnerability. Like you have to be
Hmm.
willing to put yourself out there. And I think that is my life path.
Hmm.
And I think because it's my life path, it's also been really hard for me.
Hmm.
But I know it's hard because it's part of my life path. It's something that I need to work through. And there's no way of getting around it if I want to do it. I have to be vulnerable.
Hmm. 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 That's so true. And I believe um, you're going to share one of the songs with us today.
Oh, which one?
Well, is the plan for you to sing one of your songs?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was I supposed to?
Yeah, I thought we talked about this. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe you did say something. I don't remember you.
Or, okay, so then this is a question then. Would you like to share anything or just sing anything for us today?
Um, let's see.
And it can be any
My
song. It can be.
my my first reaction was no, but I was like, well, maybe this is a chance for me to be vulnerable right now.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
I mean, I just wasn't prepared. I don't know what my voice sounds like right now. I hope that this comes through the mic. All right. Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain, I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the chaining ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Oh, I don't know. Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Children get older. I'm getting older too.
Yay! How did that feel?
It was a little so like this is like a good example of like voices. Like when you asked me to sing, my initial reaction was like no. And then but then I was like, okay, we were just talking about vulnerability. I think I need to be vulnerable here. So then I was like, okay, so I was just kind of like noticing and being aware of like my thoughts, and my thoughts were like, oh, well, it's not perfect. It's not like, oh, I don't have my guitar, or like I don't I want to play something on the piano or like guitar, like, but I don't know if it's gonna like come through the Zoom. And so there's all these like excuses, or not excuses, but just like I couldn't just sing. And I think that there's a part of me that maybe there's like vulnerability around just singing without, a piano or a guitar, it's like this is me and this is my voice. And I was like, you know what? I don't need these other things. Why can't I just sing? So that was kind of like my process.
I feel kind of bad. Like I feel like I set you up, but I swear we talked about this.
Yeah, I guess I just, I blanked out because I was nervous.
But it was beautiful. I hope the recording came through. It was beautiful on my part, but it was, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
All right, one last question before we close the session. Um, Imagine like 5 years, 10 years, whatever from now, and your future self can tell you something right now. What would it be?
Um, Girl, don't be bothered about what other people think or um trust yourself.
Mm.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. I think that my journey, especially now, is really all about trusting myself, and it's not always easy. Um, yeah, but I think that the more that I continue, again, like our paths are never perfect, and we can still do things even when we feel uncertain or feel scared. And I think that the more that we kind of work through those feelings, I think that, I can get to a place where I can trust myself more and
Yeah,
more.
that hit me hard right there. Thank you so much, Chika, for doing this podcast with me. It's been lovely and really enjoyed our chat. And I'm grateful, I mean, for you being out there and being vulnerable and sharing your stories and all that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dewey, for having me. This really validated. I think that this was a good conversation. I think it really validated my journey and um, expressing myself. And yeah, I appreciate that you wanted me on here.
Thank you for sharing this sacred pause with me today. If something in this episode stirred your heart or softened your edges, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share with someone you love, and leave a kind review. It helps this soul space reach those who need it most. Until next time, may you trust your inner voice, nourish your spirit, and treat yourself to something sweet.